You see, there comes a time in life when you have to stop waiting for people to see you. Stop waiting for them to acknowledge you, to celebrate you, to validate the gift God has already placed inside of you. Some of us are exhausted, not because we're doing too much, but because we've been looking in the wrong direction. We've been searching for our worth in people who don't even know their own. We've been measuring our success by standards that were never meant to define us. But today I came to remind somebody that your focus is your power. There is a war over your focus. Every single day, something is fighting to steal your attention. Distractions come in many forms: opinions, expectations, past mistakes, future worries, and even the fear of stepping fully into the person you were meant to be. The reason focus is so powerful is because it determines what you build, what you grow, and what you bring into reality. When you master your focus, you master your future. But when distractions take over, they don't just slow you down, they pull you off course completely. There's a reason why some people seem stuck, repeating cycles, waiting for life to shift in their favor. It's not because they don't have the talent, the ideas, or the potential. It's because they've allowed distractions to delay their destiny. They start focusing on the vision, but then they get caught up in comparison. They begin the process, but then doubt creeps in. They take a step forward, but then a voice from their past reminds them of who they used to be, and they hesitate. Distraction is dangerous because it disguises itself as necessary. It makes you think you need to explain yourself to people who will never understand your calling. It convinces you to wait for the perfect time that never comes. It keeps you scrolling through other people's lives instead of building your own. But the moment you decide to reclaim your focus, everything changes. When you stop looking to the left and to the right, when you stop entertaining what doesn't serve you, when you stop letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions, you step into a power that cannot be ignored. Some of the most successful people didn't get there because they were the most talented. They weren't waiting for permission, approval, or applause. They were willing to be misunderstood, willing to look foolish while they were still learning, willing to walk alone for a season so they could build something lasting. They understood that focus isn't just about what you give your attention to. It's also about what you refuse to give your energy to. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. Some people will count you out, not realizing that God already counted you in. Some people will overlook you, not realizing that you were being hidden on purpose, protected until the right time. But your job is not to convince them. Your job is to focus on the vision that was placed inside of you before the world tried to shape you into something else. To focus on becoming so disciplined that even on the days you don't feel like showing up, you to focus on your healing, your growth, your evolution, because you cannot carry your past into your next level. One of the greatest lies the enemy will tell you is that you are running out of time, that it's too late, that you've missed your moment. But the truth is, as long as you have breath in your body, you have purpose. And as long as you have purpose, you have time. The only thing that runs out is the opportunity you never take. The only thing that expires is the version of you that refuses to grow. Every great person had a season where they had to be their own biggest believer. They had to trust the vision when no one else saw it. They had to keep moving forward when there was no applause, no spotlight, no reassurance. They had to shut out the noise and focus on becoming the kind of person that could carry the weight of their calling. Because success isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about being prepared to sustain it when you get there. The reason focus is so powerful is because it creates momentum. What you focus on, you feed. If you focus on fear, you strengthen it. If you focus on lack, you multiply it. But if you focus on growth, on faith, on discipline, you build something unstoppable. The people who rise, the people who change their lives, the people who go from overlooked to undeniable are not always the ones with the best circumstances. They are the ones who decide that distractions will no longer have dominion over them. When you truly lock in on yourself, people will notice. Not because you're seeking attention, but because transformation cannot be ignored. When you move differently, when you elevate your thinking, when you become intentional about your habits and your mindset, the world has no choice but to take notice. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable, not because the world changed, but because you did. Focus is your power, and the moment you claim it, nothing can stop you. There is a moment in life when you must decide that your worth is not up for negotiation. Too many people are walking around carrying the weight of opinions, waiting for validation, hoping that someone will finally recognize them, affirm them, or tell them they are enough. But the truth is, if you spend your life waiting for people to see you, you will always be searching, because people are fickle. One day they love you, the next day they forget you. One moment they celebrate you, and the next they criticize you. If your worth is rooted in their approval, you will always feel like you are not enough. But you were never meant to live for validation. You were meant to live in purpose. You were designed to walk with confidence, knowing that your value isn't determined by likes, applause, or external recognition. You are enough simply because you exist. You are worthy simply because you are here. And if you ever find yourself doubting that, it's because you've spent too much time looking outward instead of looking inward. Seeking validation is a trap. It makes you second guess yourself. It forces you to shrink your vision, to play small, to water yourself down so that you don't make others uncomfortable. It teaches you to crave approval instead of trusting your own instincts. It convinces you to wait until someone else gives you permission to step fully into who you are. But the reality is, no one can give you what you already have. No one can give you a value that was placed in you from the beginning. The people who rise in life, the ones who truly step into greatness, are not necessarily the ones who were the most supported. They are the ones who stopped waiting. They stopped waiting for encouragement, stopped waiting for validation, stopped waiting for the right moment. They decided that they were enough, whether the world saw it or not. They understood that their purpose was bigger than people's opinions. When you stop seeking validation, you take your power back. You no longer need constant reassurance. You don't need someone to tell you that you're talented before you start using your gift. You don't need people to understand your journey before you commit to the process. You simply start. You build, you grow, you become. And at first it will feel uncomfortable because we are conditioned to look outside of ourselves for confirmation. We are trained to measure success by how many people notice us, how many people approve of us, how many people say we are doing a good job. But when you truly focus on you, something shifts. You stop worrying about whether people understand your vision. You stop explaining yourself to those who were never meant to see your greatness. You stop begging for a seat at tables that were never meant to hold your presence. Because the truth is, the people who were meant to recognize you will. And the ones who don't were never assigned to your journey. You cannot force someone to see your value when they were never meant to carry the eyes to see it. You cannot convince someone to respect your calling when they were never meant to be a part of it. You do not need validation to be valuable. Think about all the people who changed the world, the ones who built something that outlived them, the ones who created, who innovated, who pushed boundaries and set new standards. They were not always understood. They were not always celebrated in the beginning. Many of them were doubted, rejected, criticized, or even ignored, but they didn't stop because their vision was bigger than other people's approval. When you shift your focus from validation to purpose, everything changes. You stop wasting energy trying to impress people who don't even know themselves. You stop letting small-minded opinions shrink your big dreams. You stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. There will be moments when you feel unseen, moments when it seems like no one notices the effort, the late nights, the sacrifices, the discipline. But what you must understand is that real growth happens in the unseen places. The foundation is built when no one is watching. The roots grow deep before the fruit ever shows. Just because people don't see you yet doesn't mean you aren't growing. Just because they aren't clapping yet doesn't mean you aren't becoming. The need for validation will keep you in places you've outgrown. It will make you hold on to relationships that no longer serve you. It will convince you to stay in environments that suffocate your potential because you are afraid of what people will say if you leave. But when you decide that your worth is not up for debate, you set yourself free. You become untouchable. Not because people don't have opinions, but because their opinions no longer have power over you. You walk differently, talk differently, move differently because you are no longer performing for approval. You are living in authenticity. And that is when the focus shifts. That is when the world starts to take notice. Not because you were chasing attention, but because you were busy becoming. Because you chose to focus on you, the world has no choice but to shift its focus to you. Not because you needed their validation, but because you proved that you never did. Commitment is not a feeling. It is a decision. Growth is not something that happens by accident. It is something you must decide to pursue over and over again until it becomes who you are. Too many people start strong, fueled by motivation, inspired by the idea of success. But when things get hard, when results don't show up quickly, when the journey demands more than they expected, they stop. Not because they lack the ability, but because they lack the discipline to stay the course. The process is not designed to be easy. If growth were simple, everyone would be successful. If discipline came naturally, no one would struggle. But the reason so few people reach their full potential is because commitment requires sacrifice. It requires waking up every day and choosing to keep going, choosing to show up, choosing to be better than you were yesterday. And that is not always easy. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when distractions feel overwhelming, when quitting seems like the better option. But the ones who truly transform, the ones who step into their greatness, are not the ones who never feel like quitting. They are the ones who refuse to quit, no matter how they feel. Discipline is the foundation of success. It is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Dreams are easy. Ideas are exciting. But execution is where most people fall short. It's not enough to want something. You have to be willing to put in the work day after day, even when you don't feel like it, even when you are tired, even when progress feels invisible. Because real progress is often unseen. Growth happens in the moments when no one is clapping for you, in the times when you are alone, when you are struggling, when you are questioning whether any of this is even worth it. That is when discipline matters most. Success is not about talent. It is not about luck. It is about consistency. It is about choosing to be better every single day, even if only by 1%. Because small improvements, when repeated over time, create transformation. But most people never stay long enough to see that transformation. They give up too soon. They get impatient. They expect instant results, and when they don't get them, they assume they aren't capable, that they aren't worthy, that it wasn't meant for them. But the truth is, they didn't fail. Their commitment did. There is nothing glamorous about the process. The world celebrates success, but rarely talks about the journey that got people there. The late nights, the early mornings, the setbacks, the sacrifices, the moments of frustration, the failures that had to be overcome. People want the outcome without the process, but the process is what makes you ready for the outcome. If success came too easily, you wouldn't be able to sustain it. If growth happened overnight, you wouldn't appreciate it. That is why the process is necessary. It builds you, it strengthens you, it prepares you for the life you are working toward. Every step you take in the process matters, even the small ones, even the ones that feel insignificant, even the ones that no one else notices, because consistency compounds. Every disciplined action, every moment of perseverance, every time you choose to keep going when you could have given up, it all adds up. The problem is, most people don't stay long enough to see the result of their consistency. They stop digging right before they strike gold. They walk away from the process just before the breakthrough happens. But if you truly commit, if you stay the course, if you keep moving forward no matter what, there will come a day when everything you've worked for, everything you've sacrificed for, everything you've stayed consistent for will finally come together. The process will test you. It will challenge you. It will make you question yourself. But it is also where you will find your strength. It is where you will discover what you are truly capable of. It is where you will prove to yourself that you are not someone who gives up when things get hard. Because discipline is not just about achieving goals. It is about becoming the person who can achieve them. It is about developing the mindset, the habits, the resilience that will carry you through every challenge, every obstacle, every setback. Most people want shortcuts, but shortcuts don't lead to lasting success. What is built quickly often falls apart just as fast. But what is built with consistency, with patience, with unwavering commitment will stand the test of time. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay committed. Because the ones who succeed are not the ones who had the easiest path. They are the ones who stayed when others walked away. The ones who kept building when others gave up. The ones who understood that growth is not about how fast you move. It is about how long you are willing to keep going. Your process is shaping you. Every struggle, every delay, every moment of uncertainty is working in your favor, even when it doesn't feel like it. You may not see it now, but there will come a time when you look back and realize that every challenge was necessary. That every difficult moment taught you something. That every delay was building something inside of you that you couldn't see at the time. Stay the course. Keep showing up. Keep pushing forward, because the ones who commit to the process, who embrace discipline, who choose consistency over convenience, are the ones who don't just achieve success. They become the kind of person who can sustain it. And that is the real goal. To not just reach success, but to be prepared for it when it arrives. There will always be noise. There will always be opinions, distractions, whispers, and doubts. Some from the outside, some from within. If you are not careful, you will spend your entire life responding to voices that were never meant to guide you. You will find yourself shifting, hesitating, second-guessing your every move because someone, somewhere had something to say about it. But the truth is, not every voice deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every distraction deserves your energy. When you are walking in purpose, noise is inevitable. When you start stepping into something greater, people will talk. Some will criticize, some will doubt, some will project their own fears onto you because they don't understand the vision God placed inside of you. If you live for their approval, you will die by their rejection. If you allow their words to shape you, you will always be molded by opinions that have nothing to do with your destiny. People will always have something to say. They will say you're too much or not enough. They will question why you're taking the risks you're taking, why you're dreaming the way you're dreaming, why you believe in something they can't see. But they are not the author of your calling. They did not place the vision inside of you. They do not have the final say on where you are going. Too many people let noise stop them. They hear a negative comment and suddenly they doubt everything. They hear criticism and suddenly they shrink back. But those who truly rise, those who truly step into greatness, are not the ones who never heard negativity. They are the ones who refuse to let it control them. They kept moving when people doubted them. They kept believing when others laughed. They kept pushing forward when the world told them to stop. The noise will never stop, but you can stop listening to it. You can stop giving it power. You can stop allowing it to dictate your decisions, your confidence, your movement. There is a difference between wisdom and distraction. Wisdom builds you, guides you, strengthens you. Distraction confuses you, weakens you, and keeps you stuck. The problem is too many people mistake one for the other. They think that because someone has an opinion, it must mean something. They think that just because someone is talking, they must have authority. But real authority does not come from the loudest voice. It comes from the voice that speaks truth. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everyone to agree with you. Some people will never support you because they don't even support themselves. Some people will always criticize you because they are too afraid to do what you are doing. Their noise is a reflection of them, not of you. The moment you stop letting noise control you is the moment you step into freedom. You stop wasting time explaining yourself. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Instead, you focus. You focus on your growth. You focus on your process. You focus on becoming the person you were always meant to be. When you truly focus on you, the noise fades, not because it disappears, but because you stop giving it room to exist in your mind. You stop checking for people who aren't checking for you. You stop worrying about opinions that do nothing for your purpose. You stop allowing distractions to delay your destiny. And when you keep moving, when you keep building, when you keep showing up despite what anyone says, something powerful happens. The same people who doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge you. The same voices that said you couldn't will be the ones whispering about how you did. But by then it won't even matter, because you will have already arrived. Not because they approved of you, but because you decided that you never needed their approval in the first place. Too many people are chasing something they should be becoming. They chase success, chase validation, chase opportunities, thinking that if they just get the right attention, the right recognition, or the right platform, everything will fall into place. But success is not something you run after. It is something you grow into. It is not about being seen. It is about being prepared. It is not about getting noticed. It is about becoming the person who can sustain the very thing you are asking for. Chasing success will exhaust you. It will have you jumping from one thing to the next, trying to force open doors that were never meant to open. It will keep you seeking approval, seeking shortcuts, seeking the next big moment instead of building something that will last. But when you focus on becoming, you understand that success is not an event, it is a process. It is not about a moment in time, it is about who you are consistently becoming over time. The world will tell you to chase the spotlight, chase influence, chase the illusion of success. But if you gain the spotlight without the substance, if you gain influence without integrity, if you gain success without the character to sustain it, it will all fall apart. What is the point of getting everything you wanted if you are not the person who can handle it? What is the point of being seen if you are not truly ready for what comes with it? Real success is not about what you have. It is about who you are. It is about the discipline, the growth, the transformation that happens in the unseen places. It is about becoming someone who doesn't just chase opportunities, but attracts them because of who they have become. People who truly succeed don't run after things. They focus on mastering themselves, their craft, their mindset, their discipline. And because of that, success follows them. But chasing is tempting because it feels like movement. It makes you feel like you are doing something, like you are progressing. But movement without direction is just distraction. If you spend your life chasing, you will always be searching. If you spend your life trying to be noticed, you will always be at the mercy of external validation. But when you decide to become, you take control. You shift your focus from getting to growing, from wanting to preparing, from waiting to working. And when you focus on becoming, success becomes inevitable. Not because you chased it down, but because you built yourself up. Because you put in the work when no one was watching. Because you developed the skills, the habits, the mindset, the consistency that cannot be ignored. Because instead of running after attention, you made yourself undeniable. People who chase often burn out. They get frustrated when things don't happen fast enough. They feel defeated when they don't get the recognition they were hoping for. But people who focus on becoming stay grounded. They understand that every season has a purpose, that every delay is building something inside them, that every lesson is preparing them for something greater. They are not moved by the opinions of others because they are too busy becoming the best version of themselves. Becoming is quiet. It happens in the discipline of showing up every day, even when no one is clapping. It happens in the late nights, in the early mornings, in the moments when quitting would be easier, but commitment keeps you moving. It happens in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the decisions you make when no one is praising you. And when you truly commit to that process, you don't have to chase anything. Because success, the right opportunities, and the right people will recognize who you have become. The ones who rise are not the ones who ran the fastest. They are the ones who stayed the most consistent. The ones who built their foundation so strong that nothing could shake them. The ones who understood that real transformation is worth more than temporary attention. The ones who knew that the work they did in private would one day produce results that could not be ignored. So stop chasing, stop running after things that were always meant to come to you in due time. Stop exhausting yourself trying to be seen when you should be focused on becoming someone worth seeing. Because when you become, the focus will shift. The world will take notice. But by then, you won't even be concerned with being noticed because you will already know who you are. There is something powerful about staying focused when no one is watching. There is something unshakable about a person who commits to their growth, their vision, and their purpose without constantly looking around to see who is paying attention. Too many people stop moving forward because they feel unseen. They feel like their effort is being wasted, like their work is going unnoticed, like no one cares about what they're doing. But what they don't realize is that true recognition doesn't come from chasing attention. It comes from staying committed long enough that the world has no choice but to notice. The problem is people want instant results. They want the world to acknowledge them before they've even put in the work. They want applause before they've built something worth clapping for. But real success, real mastery, real growth happens in the places no one sees. It happens in the hours spent practicing, in the early mornings and late nights, in the discipline of showing up, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The world does not reward those who start strong and fade away. It rewards those who remain consistent, those who refuse to quit, those who keep showing up when no one is watching. Some of the most influential people in the world were once unknown. There was a time when no one knew their name, no one saw their talent, no one recognized their greatness. But they didn't let that stop them. They didn't wait for the world to approve of them before they started building. They didn't let the absence of recognition make them question their ability. They understood that if they stayed focused, if they kept putting in the work, the results would eventually speak for themselves. The truth is, the world is always watching, even when you think it isn't. People notice the ones who keep showing up. They notice the ones who remain committed when others give up. They notice the ones who choose growth over excuses, progress over distractions, and consistency over instant gratification. When you stay focused on your journey, the world will take notice, not because you asked for it, but because what you are building will be too great to ignore. But the ones who get noticed are not the ones who are loud about what they are going to do. They are the ones who stay quiet and do it. They are not the ones who seek attention. They are the ones who stay so committed to their work that attention finds them. They are not the ones who get frustrated when they are overlooked. They are the ones who understand that the right recognition comes at the right time. The ones who rise are the ones who don't let the lack of an audience stop them from performing. They don't need constant validation to keep going. They don't need immediate results to stay committed. They have an unshakable belief in their vision, in their growth, in their process. And because of that, they keep moving forward, knowing that every step they take, even the ones that feel small, is leading them somewhere greater. It's easy to get discouraged when you feel like no one sees you. It's easy to think that your effort is pointless when it isn't being recognized. But the truth is, every great thing takes time. Every strong foundation is built in the unseen places. Every major success story started as a season of being unnoticed. The difference between those who stay overlooked and those who eventually get recognized is simple. The ones who get recognized are the ones who refuse to stop. They keep showing up, keep growing, keep pushing forward. They don't stop because people aren't watching. They keep going until people have no choice but to watch. They don't quit because they aren't being acknowledged. They stay committed until their results speak louder than any words ever could. And when that moment comes, when the world finally sees what you've been building, when the recognition starts to show up, you will realize that you never really needed it in the first place. Because by then, you will have already become the person you were always meant to be. And that is worth more than any applause, any attention, any validation, because you will know that the world is noticing you, not because you chased recognition, but because you focused so deeply that recognition had no choice but to find you. So let them overlook you, let them misunderstand you, let them whisper. Because when you stay consistent, when you stay committed, when you keep showing up even when no one claps, one day the focus will shift. One day the very people who dismissed you will have no choice but to acknowledge you. But by then you won't even be concerned with their validation because you have already stepped into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. So keep building, keep believing, keep becoming. Focus on you until the focus is you.